Okay, y'all, I'm gonna paint on this canvas. I have no idea exactly what I'm gonna do, but I have a little bit of an idea of what I want to do, which is just a vase with some flowers coming out of it, and then just using these same colors. And I haven't decided what color goes where or anything yet. We're gonna kind of do that on the fly. They call this, you know, monochromatic, when you're using one sort of color of paint and everything's going to be in different shades, even though there's a lot of difference between the darker and the lighter shades of green here, and we're going to have this little bit of brown on here too. It's still going to be, for the most part, monochromatic with the green. I just have my cup of water, a washcloth. I think I'll go ahead and do the whole background in this kudzu, and I'm gonna do that for the background and save the evergreen for the stems and the leaves, and then we can still put a little bit of this on it. And then we will use the farmhouse green and the buttercream and maybe a little bit of these two for the flowers and the highlighting, and let's just see how that goes. Here's what I have. I'm going to use just a 1-inch flat. I'm dampening it in my cup of water there. And let's just get it on here. And I'm not going to, you know, worry about if this was a piece of furniture going up and down and making all this straight and all that. It is a whole different ball game here with the canvas. Every little bit of the darker and the lighter and the X's and the circles, and working this area and that area, give it a little more dimension and a little more interest. I believe that we're dry enough on that back part to be able to sketch in what I'm wanting to do with the brown paint here. You know, it's a lot thicker. The acrylic paint is, you know, it can stand on the end of here and not run. With the Blick, more heavy bodied, it's called heavy bodied acrylics. And I'm just dipping my palette knife in the water and dabbing a little on there. Most of this, and I'm going to grab now the Turquoise Iris Tipsy brush, which is a round brush. Somewhere between a round and a liner. And get some of that and just sketch out at this point. If you were nervous about, let me give you a tip here too. If you're nervous about going on here with a darker color like this, you can use a piece of chalk. You can use a piece of chalk, you know, let it dry completely, and then use a piece of chalk to sketch out where you want your painting to go, or where you want your flowers or whatever to go. And then, you know, it will cover up with the next coats of paint, and it's not going to show anyway. And, you know, you may be more comfortable with that, and it works just as well. I'm going to just go on with the brown because I want the brown to show up a little bit anyways. And I'm thinking, oh my goodness, I'm going to put a line for what's going to be my table down here. Let me do that first. Now we're going to do the vase, but when you're thinking about your vase, you don't want it sitting right here on the edge. If we started it right here, then it would be an illusion that it's about to fall off of your table. So we really want our vase to start a little bit lower, about right there. And I'm just going to do a round one. Not exactly round, but sort of oval, rounded on the sides there, I guess is the way I want to put it. As a florist, I learned in floral school that you want your vase to be 1.5 times, or your flowers will come out 1.5 times the height of your vase. So we're looking at our vase here. That would make our flowers end way up here. So that's going to be silly. I've got it at the wrong place. But that's for best placement. So let's just move it down a little. Then I won't have to worry about that. We'll let the flowers come out of way down here. So even with the brown paint, don't worry about that. We'll cover it up with other stuff in a minute anyway. Then you always have near the rim of your vase, you have your focal point flower, right? It would be somewhere between the middle of the arrangement and the top of your vase. That's where you put your focal point flower when you're making a flower arrangement. So we're going to put ours right here, and that'll help to cover up a lot of that. Now that's your like biggest, prettiest flower that you have for your whole arrangement. And it would go pretty close to the bottom there. And then the next smallest from that, or the next most important flower from there, would go in the center, kind of right above that. So we'll go just a little bit smaller with that one. And then the next flowers, you always want to go in odd numbers, but they're going to go out this way and that way and be smaller. We'll do one more important one here. We'll go just a little bit smaller than that one. And then everything, here's their stems. Then everything comes from the center. So you'll come out this direction, mark your little center point there, and come out this direction. There's a less important one still. These can be about the same size. You don't want it to, you know, look too symmetrical, but at least a little bit. That gives the placement of all your like important flowers. Now you're going to want some curves, so you're going to think about the leaves and other stems always coming out from that center, but they'll come up from behind here. How many do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Good. We have an odd number. We don't have to do all this detail with your brown because we're going to be doing a lot of this in our greens, but this brown is going to give a little bit of depth under that green to give it more interest. I think we'll put in the details. We'll put in some more leaves and things now and put in the other details of these flowers once we're using the correct colors there. These will usually have some kind of leaf depending on what kind of flower you're making. Your leaves are larger toward the bottom of the stem and smaller toward the end of the stem, and they don't always go all the way to the end of the stem. And all of your flowers don't have to look just alike, but we're going to expand these and come back in at the end with other kinds of flowers. Let's go ahead and come in now with the evergreen and put our leaves in to give it a little bit more color so that we can see what we got going on. And I'm just going to do this with a palette knife because I want it to be loose. I don't want it to be all tight. Said at this point I'm just playing and having a good time because I'm not for sure what's going on. All I knew when I sat down was these were the colors that I was using and I was probably going to do flowers, and because I'm not the type to spend a tremendous amount of time on a project, I knew it couldn't be complicated flowers that I was going to have to sit down and spend a lot of time on. because this is really the importance of this piece is that it's made for staging. So whenever you're doing the leaves, either they can be straight up and down the stem, one on each side matching each other, or one higher, one lower, and I like to vary that between the tops of flowers. When you're doing a flower arrangement, another thing is that you pull all the leaves off that are below the water line, but you leave the leaves that are sort of deep in this area to be part of the filler that keeps it from, these are like little grasses that are coming out right now. They may or may not even have any leaves. I'm just going to make a C on each side, sort of around our main flower with this dark color, and that's not so that it will be there in a minute. That's so whenever I put on the next color down, the lighter color, it'll have this to blend into underneath it and make a couple of shades of its own self. The next lightest color is the Farmhouse green. See how thick it is? It's, you know, not thick like a heavy body paint, but it's thick. Here's our biggest one. So we are placing in some of the Farmhouse green now. I'm gonna switch to the back to the smaller palette knife and go with the Buttercream, and then I'm gonna go for just the outer edges of my flowers here. I'm not even really cleaning this off. I'm just in the back in with the same palette knife, and I'm into the Kudzu, which is the sort of medium green color that we used for the background. And I'm gonna go just inside here and there, the same thing, just inside that lighter color that I just did. I'm going to go in with this little round brush that we used earlier for the brown, and into the lightest color, which was the Buttercream. Oh, we've used that already. I'm going to go into the medium lightest color, which was the Farmhouse green. Just look for some of these stems to add a little of this too. Now what we need to think about are highlights and lowlights. We're going to think about our sun coming from over here. So these are the areas where would be the lightest. And I'm going to fill in this with that brown, but I'm not going to go all the way up to the edges of the vase. I'm going to let some of this green and the lighter greens show through to, you know, sort of leave space for you to be able to tell that the vase is there and it's outlined in that same color. You know what, I'm going to put a little more out here, but then I'm going to scoop up some of that darker green as I go to and tie it down into that bottom as well. There she is. So it's all the same colors, so hopefully I didn't blend and come out with the other colors too much to, you know, change anything, and it will be what it takes to make it all go good together. And thanks for joining me today. I'm sorry for the interruptions, and I enjoyed it. Talk to you soon. Bye.